So, the last lesson of chapter 3. So, lesson 4. General rules and equipment and processing evidence. The general rules in collection and preservation of biological material. So, first is use protective gloves. Excuse me. If possible, avoid touching individual smears or trays. Remember that glove can entail a risk of contamination. Change gloves after handling each kind of materials and otherwise as necessary. Use disposable equipment for primarily test and collection of trace evidence. Cover surface where materials are to be placed with protective paper can victims and suspect clothes separately. Second one is avoid coughing or sneezing on evidence material. The third one is packaging of biological material. Use paper packaging for all biological material or materials that are solid with biological matter. Although plastic bags are useful in many cases, they cannot be recommended for routine use on amount of residual moisture. Separate other packages are to be used for trace evidence and for clothes from person involved. Do not mix materials samples from different people. For example, clothes in the same parcel. Fold the opening of the bag twice and seal with tape. Envelope should also be sealed with tape. 4 is special precautions. Make an explicit note if a person from whom material has been collected is suspect of having an infectious disease. Prevent contamination by avoiding all contact between collected evidence and clothes seized from people. Package contaminating collected materials must not be opened until the examination in the laboratory is to commence. The only inspection is when moist or wet material must be dried out under normal room conditions. Materials for evidence packaging, marking and sealing. So there are 4 to consider. First is acceptable packaging containers depending on the type of evidence. These include paper bags, plastic bags, or box, sturdy cardboard, manila envelopes, mold glass vials, and metal cans. Second one is acceptable seals. So these are tamper-proof evidence tape, reinforced packaging tape, or heat seal. So the third one is information on each packages should minimally include name of the agency case number, item number, date, the investigator identifier. So the last one is additionally packaging for evidence should include where the item was found, by whom, date and time found, description of the item. Traditional method of preserving or recording evidence. So the first one is photograph, audio and or videotape, microfilm, photostat, Xerox, voice tracing, and etc. Photograph is considered to be the most practical, useful, and reliable means of preservation due to the following reason. So these are the reason why it is reliable. Photo camera is available in many places. The object preserved is reduced in size in the picture proportionally with other object or near to it. An unlimited number of copies can be reproduced, each of which is identical to one another. Identification of voice from the recording instrument may sometimes be difficult. Audio recording may be dependent on the speed, volume, pitch, and timbre of which may be changed by the instrument used in the recording and replying. Second one is sketching. If no scientific apparatus to preserve evidence is available, then a rough drawing of the scene or object to preserve is done. It must be simple, identifying significant items and with exact measurement. Third one is observation and description. So description is done by putting into words the person or thing to be preserved. Describing a thing requires keen observation and a good power of attention, precision, intelligence, and experience. It must cause a vivid impression on the mind of the reader. A true picture of the thing described. The use of portrait fairly may be used. So, can I observe, ito pong observation and description, ito po yung in-explain ko kanina noon. Based sa tao, kung anong nakita niya, pwede natin yung i-draw para matrace kung ano ang itsura ng isang perpetrator. So, what is portrait parley or spoken picture? It refers to a verbal, accurate, and picturized description of the person identified, such as information may be given by the victim, by the witness, relatives, or other person who are acquainted with the physical features of the person to be identified. The following basic requirement must be included in the verbal description. So these are the basic requirements that should be included. General impression, type, personality, appearance, social status. The second one is age and sex. Third one is race or color. Fourth one is height. Fifth one is weight. So next one is build. If he or she is thin, slender, medium, or stout. Posture, erect, slouching, round shoulder. Head size and shape. So 9 is hair, color, length, baldness. Face is general impression. So one of these is forehead, high or low, bulging or receding, eyebrows brushy or thin, or what is shape, mustache length, color, shape, ear size, shape, size of lobe, angle of set, eye, small, medium or large, color, eyeglasses, cheeks, high, low, or prominent, medium cheekbones, flat or sunk, nose, short, medium or big, or long, straight, or flat or pug, mouth, wide, small or medium, general impression, lips shape, thickness, color. Last one ay the next one is the teeth, the shade of it, condition, defect, missing elements, chin size, shape, general impression. Last one is jaw, length, shape of it, lean, heavy or medium, neck shape, thickness, length, Adam's apple, shoulder, width and shape, wrist size and shape, hands length, size, hair, condition of the palms, finger length, thickness, stains of it, shape of nails, condition of the nails, and arms, long, if it is long, medium or short, muscular, or normal or thin, or thickness of the twist. And the last one is feet, size, and deformities. So, if a skilled illustrator is available, a picture of the person to be identified may be drawn or sketched, what we call cartographic sketch. As a check to the sketch or drawing made, it must be shown to be persons who gave the information to see whether it tails with the person to be identified. If available, the investigator may look at what is commonly called Rogness Gallery, what we call photographic file of wanted or missing persons for comparison with the cartographic sketch. So the fourth one is Minikin method. In a miniature model of a scene of or a human body, indicating marks of the various aspects of the things to be preserved. An anatomical model or statue may be used, and injuries are indicates with their appropriate legends, although it may not indicate the full details of the lesion. It is quite impressive to the viewer as to the nature of severity of the trauma. So the fifth one is preservation of the mind of the witness. A person who perceives something relevant for proper adjudication of a case may be a witness in court. If he has the power to transmit to other what he perceived, he would just have to make a recital of his collection. Principal drawbacks or preserving evidence in the mind of the witness. And there are the capacity of a person to remember time, place, and event may be destroyed or modified by the length of time, age of the witness, confusion with other evidence, trauma, or disease, thereby making the recollection not available. The preservation is coterminous with the life of the witness. If the witness dies, then the evidence is lost. Human mind can easily be subjected to too many extraneous factors that may cause distortions of the truth. Other person may influence witnesses to serve the interest of another state untruthful fact to justify an end. So the sixth one is written notes, what you have seen or observed. So seventh one is developing and lifting fingerprints found in the crime scene. So that was what I discussed earlier. So gathering physical evidence, plaster cast, written statement of subjects and witnesses. So the next one is integrity of trace evidence. So these are the last topics, the last topics of lesson 4. Protection of trace evidence from loss or contamination is essential. One of the primary paths of contamination is from the collector to the evidence. The collector must ensure that no contaminate trace is deposit along with the evidence in question. This may include hair or fiber from the collector. To prevent contamination, crime scene personnel must wear personal protective equipment or PPE, such as gloves and masks, and use of trace contaminate free implements when collecting evidence. So, what is the principle of chain of custody? Evidence pass through several persons for several purposes. Due to this, the principle of chain of custody must be observed. The chain of custody is the most critical process of the evidence. Documentation it is a must to assure the court of law that the evidence is authentic. It is the same evidence seized at the crime scene and that it was all the times in the custody of a person designated to handle it, and for which it was never unaccounted. Hence, chain of custody is defined as the number of persons who handled and processed the pieces of evidence the moment that they were collected, marked, and tagged up to the time of the final disposition of the case. So the next one is, what is the chain of custody rule? It is of paramount importance to any investigation. It is the unbroken sequence of events that is caused by an item of evidence from the time it is found at the crime scene to the time it appears in the court. Every link in this chain is documented from discovery at the crime scene and through evidence gathering, storage, lab analysis, and return storage and transfer to the court. Every link documents by date, time, handling, individual, what was done with the evidence by the individual. If chain of custody is broken, if the evidence cannot be accounted in one step of its journey from crime scene to courtroom, it is rendered inadmissible, useless to the case. So the last one of this lesson is, what does chain of custody do? The chain of custody proves the integrity of pieces of evidence. Paper trail is maintained so that the person who had charge of the evidence at may given time can be known quickly and summoned to testify during the trial as and if required. A record of the chain of evidence must be maintained and established in the court wherever presenting evidence as an exhibit. Otherwise, the evidence may be inadmissible in the court, leading to serious question regarding its legitimacy, integrity, and examination rendered upon it. So that is the end of the lesson 4, and that is the end of the chapter 3. Thank you for listening, guys, to my report. I hope you learned something and have a good day.